So if you watched my last few videos, you've probably been waiting for the surgery video I've been promising you. If you watched this video, you know that my most recent surgery was my 4th overall. After I started planning that video though, my sister Angela got scheduled for surgery as well. And since this was her very first laparoscopy, I decided to wait until after her surgery and recovery period to compare and contrast our surgery experiences. If you want to hear our conclusions, keep on watching. Hey guys, if you haven't seen my video about my endometriosis history, I'd encourage you to check that out before watching this video, just so you kind of understand my past with endo. In case you have a short attention span like me though, and don't feel like checking that video out at the moment, I'll kind of summarize the high points. Basically, I was diagnosed with endometriosis at age 17 after a year-long battle with the medical community who believed I had nothing wrong with me and was looking for attention. I had another surgery in 2016, which was a total disaster. In 2017, I had excision surgery and a presacral neurectomy and was pain-free for the first time since puberty. But the pain started back up early this year and led to the surgery I had at the end of July. I first went to my OBGYN in May when my pain started getting severe again. I had also had an ultrasound around that time that showed I had quite a few cysts on both ovaries. He decided that a laparoscopy was the way to go and that we should also do something called ovarian drilling, which is a procedure for women with PCOS to try to relieve some of the symptoms. His thought was that with the fulguration of endometriosis and the ovarian drilling, and with taking Clomid, that I may be able to ovulate and get pregnant. I was really not excited about having another surgery. I kind of had to be talked into it. Unfortunately, apparently summer is a busy time for my doc, and the soonest they could get me in for surgery was July 30th. Keep in mind that this was May 22nd. I debated trying to find another doctor that might be able to get me in sooner, but I figured by the time I was able to get an appointment, see the doc, have whatever test they wanted, and get scheduled for surgery, that I probably wouldn't be in much sooner anyway, so I just stuck with my doctor. I saw him again on July 22nd for my pre-op appointment, where they did the standard blood pressure and heart checks to make sure that I was okay for surgery. On July 25th, someone with the hospital called to pre-register me, which just includes questions about my insurance, any medications I was taking, medical history, and emergency contacts. It probably took around 10 minutes. I also received some info in the mail that advised me on the steps I needed to take before surgery. Things like when to stop taking certain medications, when to bathe before surgery and what type of soap to use, and when to stop eating the night before. The day before surgery, July 29th, I had to call the hospital to get my arrival time, which ended up being 9:45 a.m. I was pretty excited about that because I hate waking up early, and I'm always afraid they're going to give me an arrival time of like 6:30 in the morning or something crazy. The night before, I was advised to stop eating or drinking anything but water at 8 p.m. Right around that time, I recorded this video clip. So it's the night before surgery. I have to be there. My arrival time tomorrow is at 9:45 a.m., which is pretty good. I've had ones before where I had to be there super early, so 9:45, not so bad. It's like 7:30 p.m. right now, and I'm not supposed to eat after 8, so I'm gonna go eat a very quick dinner, so that's fun. For a lot of people, it's probably no big deal. For me, I eat generally later than you're supposed to. So this is kind of an early dinner for me, and I also do not eat well when I have to eat quick, so I guess we'll see what happens there. I'm finding myself weirdly nervous. I mean, I know it's surgery, so being nervous is pretty normal, but this is my 4th one of these, so I kind of figured, you know, hey, you have 4, you're pretty used to it, right? But for some reason this one's really making me nervous, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because of the potential of, you know, being able to get pregnant. When you've tried so many different things over the years, it gets to the point where someone offering you hope just is almost worse than having none. And I know that probably sounds really weird if you haven't gone through something like this, but it's just like you get to a place where you feel like, I'm alright, I'm okay, I can survive the way I am, and then someone's like, but wait, we may have a solution and it just might work. And you go, but I was okay, don't give me this and then have it not work again. I just can't. I just can't. And so I don't know if that's a part of it. I'm sure that's probably a part of it for sure, but also, I mean, it's you know, it's the middle of summer. I love to swim. I hate being out of the water. If it wasn't for the fact that, you know, no one would bring me food, probably I would just find a place that I could be in the pool or in a lake or something all the time. So this summer, because of the way things have been, I haven't gotten to go swimming yet, and I really wanted to go before this, and I didn't get a chance to. And now, I mean, I know it's not like I'm gonna be, you know, laid up for months or anything, but because of the potential for infection and stuff like that, sometimes going swimming after surgery is not great. So that really bummed me out. In the grand scheme of things, no, it's not that big of a deal, but it was just something else that I was like, have my antibacterial soap already. If you haven't had surgery, they either tell you the night before or the morning of, depending on when your surgery is, what kind of surgery you're having, that they'd like you to shower with antibacterial soap. So I'm all ready for that. I don't know. I'm nervous, to be honest. I don't know why, and it's weird, but I don't know. I'm sure everything will be fine. Everything has been fine every other time, eventually, or if not right away. So I'm sure it'll be fine, and I don't know. I'm nervous. So I guess the next time that I see you guys, I will be in my fancy pants hospital gown, most likely, all ready to go back. So I guess I'll see you guys then. So the next day, I got to the hospital at 9:45 a.m. as scheduled. Angela, George, and my mom accompanied me as my surgery squad. Once you get to the hospital, they usually weigh you, then have you change into your awesome hospital gown and lovely grippy socks. Then they have someone come in to draw your blood and put an IV line in. Nurses will be in and out during that time to ask you questions about when you last ate and drank, when you last took medications, and when you last went to the bathroom, among other things. It helps the nurses and speeds up the process if you can easily answer these questions when they ask without having to think about it too much. Also during this time, the anesthesiologist will come in and talk to you and usually ask to look in your mouth to see if you have anything loose that could be a problem during anesthesia. If you have body piercings, jewelry, bobby pins or clips in your hair, or anything in your mouth that is non-permanent, they will have to be removed before surgery. Hey guys, so I'm getting ready to go back for surgery. Got my IV and they took some blood. Luckily they got it on the first try, which was very impressive because my veins are generally terrible. So I was very excited about that. I am wearing glasses because they do not let you, if you wear contacts, you cannot wear contacts in surgery. You have to have your glasses and they'll take them before I go back. I also take off my necklace and my wedding ring because they don't let you have any metal. So yes, my husband is holding on to those for me, so hopefully he doesn't lose them. So yeah, I'm just waiting now for the doctor to come talk to me, and then the anesthesiologist usually comes and talks to me for a little bit, and then I will be going back for surgery. So my sister is here. You will know her from some of the other videos that she's done on my channel with me, and my husband and my mom, and so they're probably going to record a little something while I'm back just to tell you kind of what's going on or if they heard anything from the doctor. And then the next time you see me, I will be out of surgery. So I guess I'll see you guys later. Because doctors usually do several surgeries in one day, if you aren't the first one of the day, you may have to wait a while once you get to the hospital. My doc was running a little bit behind, so even though I arrived at 9:45, I didn't actually get taken back to the OR until about 12:20.
Hey guys, it's about 20 after 12, and Tiff just went back for her surgery, so we're hanging out here, and I'll let you know as soon as we have any more information. Thanks, bye!
Usually after the patient is taken to the OR, the family will receive a number or code of some kind so that they can keep track of the patient throughout their surgery. This code will usually be on a screen in the waiting area that shows when the patient is brought back to the OR, when the surgery actually starts, when the surgeon is closing, and when the patient heads to recovery. Different hospitals may do things differently, of course, but that seems to be the general way of it. At about 2 o'clock, my family got the notification that the doctor was closing. At 2:15, they saw that I was moved to recovery. About that time, they did hear from someone of the hospital staff that the surgery went well and that I was doing fine, and they could see me once I was out of recovery.
Hey everybody, it's about 2:15, and have just went into recovery, as we learned by the magic screen that has all the information. The screen knows all. Anyway, supposedly the surgery went great, and we're just waiting to go back and see her. So I have high hopes of getting some pictures of her looking completely goofy and loopy, and I promise to share them with you, unless she edits them out, which she probably will, but we can try.
A little after 3, they were able to come back and see me.
Well, Tiffany is out of recovery, and I'm here in her room with her right now. Unfortunately, she has threatened me with pain of death if I take a picture of her at this moment. But trust me when I say that she's not nearly loopy enough to make it fun.
Hi guys.
She croaks hello, and we'll probably make another video for you soon. But she's doing well. Her throat is sore from anesthesia. A tube goes down your throat, tends to make you kind of hoarse and croaky. But other than that, she's doing well, and we're just waiting for the doctor to come in. So see you soon.
Hey guys, so I'm in my room right now. I'm waiting to talk to the doctor, and they gave me some pain meds, which definitely did help. I am obviously very hoarse, as you can tell.
Rapid response. X-ray.
Otherwise, I'm actually feeling okay right now. I haven't gotten any information from the doctor yet about what exactly he did, so once I know that, I'll let you guys know. I did want to mention, by the way, I forgot to say it earlier, but have you noticed that I have my hair in braids? I've found throughout my various surgeries that this is a really good hairstyle for this kind of stuff, because you're laying down all day and not having anything to press on the back of your head. It makes it really comfortable. I don't have to deal with a headache or anything, and also it's not just loose, so it's not, in anybody's way or anything. So it's a good hairstyle to try for surgery.
It's in the cap.
Yeah, if it's in the nifty little beautiful cap they give me very well too. So yeah, so I guess once I know more, I will let you guys know.
After anesthesia, water is like the nectar of the gods, so I was drinking quite a lot of it. I also got some graham crackers and even a popsicle. During this time, the nurse came in to give me all of my do's and don'ts, which mainly included to take it easy, not to shower right away, and not to take a tub bath or go swimming until incisions were healed up, and to stay away from alcohol and driving with the pain meds. Also, to avoid sex until after my follow-up appointment. After that, my doctor called to tell me what he had found out during the surgery, and to tell me what he actually did. Normally, the doctor will try to come and actually talk to you or your family in person, but because this was one of the few days my doctor was able to do surgery all summer, he was pretty pressed for time. He kind of walked me through what had been done and told me the major bummer news that he had found quite a bit of endometriosis. I was really hoping that he wasn't going to find any, but he did, which sucked. He also removed a hemorrhagic cyst, unstuck my left ovary from where it was adhered to my left pelvic sidewall, and did the ovarian drilling. Because I'm me, I made sure to request a copy of the surgical report just so I could look over it on my own and read exactly what had been done. The report showed that he drilled 12 holes in the left ovary and 8 or 9 on the right. It is your right to read that report, so don't be afraid to get a copy of it for your records. After that, the nurse had to be sure that I had urinated after the surgery, and then I was free to go. We went to the pharmacy and picked up my pain meds, and I was free to go home. That day and night, I was a little uncomfortable, but definitely not in a ton of pain. I did take the pain meds as prescribed at first to make sure that my pain didn't get vastly worse. They also had prescribed me stool softeners, which I did take. If your doctor prescribes them to you after your surgery, I recommend you take them. No one wants to talk about post-op constipation, but it's a very real issue. I promise you that the pain of trying to strain to have a bowel movement with a stomach full of incisions is way worse than any embarrassment you might feel about having to buy stool softeners. Luckily, because I started taking them right away, I didn't have too much of an issue after this surgery. When I went back for my follow-up appointment on August 15th, I was prescribed Clomid at 100 milligrams to start taking on days 5 through 9 of my upcoming cycle. He also checked my incision sites to make sure they were healing satisfactorily and gave me the okay to start having sex again. My first period after the surgery was a bit heavier than normal, but nothing too crazy. Overall, this surgery was probably the easiest recovery period that I've had. I was completely back to normal within a couple of weeks. Now that I've kind of summed up my surgical experience, I'd like to talk about how it differed with Angela's surgery. If you saw my crazy things about the female body video, you may recognize my sister, Angela. She has a YouTube channel about traveling through video games that you should definitely check out after this video. I'll have her channel linked in the description box below.
Prior to my surgery in October, I had never had a doctor suspect that I had endometriosis. I've been dealing with infertility for about the same amount of time that Tiff has, and no doctor, even the fertility specialist I saw a few years ago, ever thought to do a laparoscopy. If you have an immediate relative that has endo, your chances of having it are higher than average. So since she had it, it made sense to check me for it. But since I wasn't in a lot of pain, most doctors apparently assumed that I didn't have it.
By being her own advocate and switching to my gynecologist, she was able to get someone to finally do the surgery to check for endometriosis. Angela went in on October 7th to talk to the doctor. He decided to do a laparoscopy to check for endo and to see if she had any tubal issues that could be contributing to her infertility. She got lucky because he had a cancellation on October 22nd, so he could get her in within the month. She had to do all the same pre-surgery stuff that I did, as far as having a pre-op appointment, stopping certain meds, washing with antibacterial soap the night before, and they gave her time to stop eating and drinking. She called the day before and got an arrival time of 11 a.m. Hey guys, so I am here at Angela's surgery today. Here's Angela.
Hi!
We are waiting for the anesthesiologist and the doctor to come in and all that good stuff, so we figured while we were waiting, maybe we'd talk to you guys a little bit about her surgery and all that good stuff. So, as you probably know by now, I have had 4 laparoscopies for endometriosis and other issues, but this is Angela's very first one. She's never had one before, so I figured it would be a good time to talk to her about the results, because basically they're doing this to see if there's anything. They don't know if there's anything or not. And sometimes when they find something in this, it can be a big relief, but sometimes if they don't find anything, you think that might be a relief, but sometimes that can be, very frustrating. So we're going to talk to Angela and see kind of what she feels about the potential for different results.
Hey guys, as far as results, I think that honestly, I'm more prepared for them to find something, even if it's major endometriosis, because as you may know from watching one of Tiffany's other videos, endometriosis symptoms vary wildly between one person to the next, and I've had some pain, but it's been I can handle it. It's not anything major. I've been fortunate in that respect. And
it's between 1 and 3 on the pain scale.
Yes. How would I rate it on the scale of 1 to 10? But it's a question that you get asked every 5 minutes whenever you're having surgery for anything. So good times. But even if they find a lot of endometriosis, I know already that the symptoms that I would have from it are not, other than the infertility, are manageable. On the other hand, if they find nothing, not only do I not have any more answers about my fertility problems, but also I feel like I'm going to look like a crazy hypochondriac that wants to have surgery just for kicks, which nobody wants to feel like. So, as weird as it sounds, I'm kind of hoping they find something rather than nothing, which is counterintuitive because you would think normally people would want to find out that everything's okay, but
I think that's a pretty common feeling, especially with endometriosis, because the only way to find it is with a laparoscopic procedure, and so you always kind of have that feeling of will they, won't they, and either way, it's kind of the diagnosis is a big deal, so you're definitely not alone in that one.
But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, as far as preparing for the surgery, if you haven't had surgery before, one of the things that the general procedure is that they tell you to call the day before to find out what time you're going in. You are instructed about your medications that you take, when to keep taking them or not to keep taking them. They usually ask you to stop like vitamins and ibuprofen and stuff like that, anything that could make your blood thinner that would cause you to bleed more. And they'll give you instructions about what time to stop eating the night before, and
when to shower.
When to shower, you're usually instructed to shower with antibacterial soap. So I have
you
done
can
all
see that Angela has her hair in surgery braids, as I kind of have been calling them since. So you saw me have that hairstyle, and now she has it too. It really does make it better because it's easy to keep out of their way when they're working, And it's one of those things that you can lay flat and it doesn't give you a headache, so it's a good hairstyle. So
I have to give a shout out to my stylist, Tiffany.
oh wow, she must be amazing. All right, well,
I mean, she's okay.
we will check back with you guys in a little bit. She got taken back to the OR a bit quicker than I did at 1:15 p.m. Her husband Phil and I headed to the cafeteria at that point to grab some food. It's a good thing that the hospital we were at had a TV with the surgeries on it, because we got the notification that they were closing at 2 o'clock. We rushed back to the waiting room and found the doctor looking for us. He told us that he had indeed found endometriosis in almost the exact same spots that I've always had it. He had removed a hefty cyst from her right ovary and also found that her left fallopian tube was completely blocked, and was in recovery from 2:15 to about 3, and then was brought back to the room so we could see her.
This was the second issue that I had surgery for, and the surgery that I had before was a back issue that was a very long surgery, so relatively speaking, waking up from this surgery seemed a lot easier to me. But when you wake up from having anesthesia, as Tiff mentioned, your throat is sore, you feel a little bit out of it at first. That tends to go away pretty quick for a surgery like this that's not very long. But yeah, water, ice chips, all that kind of stuff, totally your friend.
Yeah, I was coughing a lot after mine. I usually don't have a lot of sore throat or coughing after, but this one I really did. So just because something was one way for one surgery doesn't necessarily mean that will be the exact same for another surgery, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I guess, depending on the symptom you had.
And what it was.
Right. She hadn't talked to the doctor yet at that point, so I told her what he had found and showed her the photos that he had given us. You actually got lucky, because I did not get any photos with mine. I got photos with my first and third surgery, but I did not get any with my second or fourth. So maybe the next time I'll get more, I guess. I don't know if it's like every other thing. I don't know.
I was more than happy to let her take charge of my photos because, ick. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I don't really need to see my insides, so
yeah. The doctor was actually pretty cool with the photos, because he did show us he pointed at different things and said what it was, and he actually even wrote on some of them, so when she woke up I could easily explain to her what she was looking at, because although I know a little bit more what I'm looking at than maybe she does, I definitely do not know as much as the doctor does, so it was helpful to kind of have that to look at. So yeah, how did you feel like your surgery went overall, and especially what do you feel about the results? Because we saw a little bit ago the video that we talked about before your surgery about how you felt about getting the results, whereas you were nervous about either finding something or them not finding anything. And so now that you know that they did find endometriosis, how are you feeling about that?
It's a real problem, and it reflects a major issue in the medical community, that a lot of times when you're dealing with, well, any kind of medical issue, but especially something like this, you have a big fear that they're going to find out that there's nothing wrong, that you're fine. The doctor is going to go, oh, you're just being a whiny woman, and you don't, which is ridiculous because women are badass, and so, but
especially since my experience was exactly like that, my first one, that it's hard not to feel like that's what it's going to be like every time.
Right. So when I found out what I did have going on, part of me was relieved in a way, which seems weird because obviously it was not good news to find out that I had endometriosis. But it was good in the sense that all the time that I've been dealing with infertility, there was no answer. There was no why. It was just, well, not getting pregnant, don't really know why. Oh well.
And because you're not small, the general consensus seems to be, well, you're just fat, lose weight.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much
what you pretty much always deal with when you're overweight, dealing with infertility.
Yeah. So, which, is a factor, right. But I am, our mom is one of 13 children, and nearly everyone in the family has struggled with weight issues now and again, and there's 13 of them, and they all have children. So I wasn't really buying that as the sole cause of the problem. So finding out that the endometriosis was an issue, was kind of a relief. Finding out about the fallopian tube being blocked was
Infuriating.
also good that it helped me to know what was going on, but it was infuriating because when I saw a fertility specialist a few years back, I had told them I had an HSG test, which is a dye test.
To check to see if the fallopian tubes are both open and working properly.
We're clear. A few years before that, they were not able, the person doing it was, we won't say incompetent because that's nice, but
if you watched my video about my endometriosis history, and you heard me talk about the doctor that told me that I needed to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, whatever it was, yeah, she was the same doctor that did this HSG procedure, so stellar on that one.
Yeah, so she was not able to get the dye to go through both sides. So her summary was, well, we couldn't get it to go through both sides, which involved them trying to use a catheter to put the dye in and the catheter slipping off, pulling off repeatedly over and over and over and over. It was not the best day ever, we'll say. So yeah, she couldn't get the dye to go through, but they were like, well, it's clear on one side, so you're probably okay. Which I was like, all right.
And then the fertility specialist you saw a couple of years later, she asked them about the HSG test, and he told her that if one side is clear, then pretty much always both sides are clear. That's not true. Not true.
And at the time, I didn't, I was like, okay, this is a fertility specialist. He must know what he's talking about. And we hadn't done nearly as much.
No, that was before I did a lot of research and started school and stuff. So I was like, well, I guess he would know. I don't know.
So we had to pay out of pocket. We were doing IUI at that point. We had to pay out of pocket for it because insurance does not cover it. So we did 3 rounds of it. So in addition to all of the medication, all of the time and effort and hassle, we also spent $750 total out of pocket for these IUI sessions when one of my tubes was completely blocked. So that made me kind of livid, but overall I was really glad that we had
Answers.
a reason. Yeah, answers. So, overall it was, a relief more than anything.
How would you say that your recovery period was?
My recovery was really, really easy. I did not have the ovarian drilling that you had because I didn't have as much scar tissue and as long of a history with endo, so I didn't need it.
And you haven't been diagnosed with PCOS, which
right.
is...
So I just was really healing from, the internal abrasion of the stuff that they removed and the 3 incisions. So given that the previous surgery that I'd had was spinal surgery, this one didn't seem bad at all. It seemed pretty easy overall. So yeah, the recovery wasn't bad. I would second what you said about the constipation situation.
Because somebody didn't listen to me about the stool softeners and learned that I knew what I was talking about a little bit too late, unfortunately. So yeah, please believe me when I tell you, even if you think, oh, I may not need them, or oh, I'm usually really regular, oh this, oh that, whatever. No, just do it. Trust me. They're not that much over the counter. Sometimes your insurance will even cover them. Just do it. Do it! We wanted to mention too that when I said earlier that the medical staff of the hospital is going to ask you questions while you're waiting in pre-op, please be honest with them. I know that you think maybe you don't want to tell them about certain things, if you've taken any illegal substances or have, been drinking or smoking or anything like that. You maybe are embarrassed or you don't want to tell them.
Or you took a medication from someone else because you were feeling especially sick and it's not something you normally would take, or you ate later than you were supposed to, or any of those things.
Or, accidentally forgot and had an Egg McMuffin on the way to the hospital. Whatever it is, just tell them. They're not going to judge you. They're not going to go tell the police on you or anything else you're worried about. They just need to know, because it's important for the anesthesia. There have been stories, and I haven't verified this, so I guess take it how you will, but I have heard stories of people who smoke marijuana on a regular basis and did not tell the hospital staff this, and then woke up partially, like during the middle of their surgery. So that would not be a good thing. So please just be honest. They don't care. They're not going to judge you. They're not going to think any certain thing about you. They just need to know.
I promise whatever it is that you have going on, you're not the first person that they've seen that has that situation.
Probably not.
So,
just be honest.
The other thing about my recovery time is that I also was, after my follow-up appointment, I was also put on fertility meds. For me, they prescribed Femara, which is another
Also
fertility...
known as letrozole.
Yep. Another fertility drug like Clomid, but it, for me at least, had much fewer side effects. I've taken Clomid before, and it was not my friend. I am not a super emotion-y person, and so to take a medication that gives you lots and lots of hormones, I was not prepared to deal with that. I was like, my emotions were all over the place, which is very unusual for me. I felt like I was losing my mind. I did not like it at all. So I took Femara a different time and did not have nearly that kind of reaction. So that is what they have given me. I think Clomid is kind of more the go-to.
But they've actually found that Femara ends up working better for some people than Clomid does. So if you've tried Clomid in the past and it hasn't worked for you, I mean, maybe talk to your doctor about trying Femara. I mean, it could be worth a shot.
I liked it much better, and I feel a lot less crazy. Well, no more crazy than usual anyway. Hey! The other thing is, it is an outpatient surgery, which I imagine you gathered from the part where she said that she went home. But a lot of surgeries are more likely to be outpatient these days, so you may find that people think that outpatient surgeries are not a big deal, and they're certainly not as big a deal as something that you're going to have to stay in the hospital for a few days, but it doesn't mean that it's nothing. It doesn't mean that you're going to get out of the hospital and go right home and run a marathon. There are still going to be things that you need to do to follow up. There are going to be recovery time, issues that you have to deal with, and so don't feel like because it was an outpatient surgery that it's not a big deal and nobody should, cut you any slack, because it's still surgery.
Yeah. And also, most hospitals require that you have someone to drive you home after surgery. I think pretty much all hospitals do. So be sure you have someone there with you. Also, no one wants to have surgery alone. That's just lame. Nobody wants that. So make sure you have a friend or a significant other, sister, brother, mother, whoever, somebody with you, just to make sure they can drive you home and make sure you get all settled and get your prescriptions, because you're going to want to get your prescriptions on the way home. So,
and bring you popsicles and Jell-O to deal with the fact that your throat is still sore because you had a giant tube down your throat while you were knocked out.
Yeah.
Good times.
And the fact that if you drop anything on the floor, it's going to stay there because you do not want to bend over to pick up.
Like, well, that's gone forever.
Yeah. So overall, I feel like we had a pretty similar experience this last time. I think my recovery time was a little bit longer just because I also had the ovarian drilling and because I have so many adhesions from having, previous surgeries and having, the issue with having endo for, this long, whatever. Ever. Yeah. Which she has always had endometriosis too. It's not like it just randomly sprouted out. That's not how endo works. She's had it, she just wasn't diagnosed. And because her pain level was different than my pain level, a lot of doctors won't even do a laparoscopy unless they think that you're in crazy amounts of pain. And even then, sometimes they won't.
And that goes back to what you've said about endometriosis before, is that it is a tricky disease because people's experience with it is so different.
Right.
Because I've had pain, but nothing that I didn't go, well, it's probably just, it's probably just this or probably just that. It's nothing major. Maybe it's cramps. Maybe I just don't feel good, whatever. So if she had not been diagnosed with endometriosis, I probably would never have gotten the laparoscopy and I would have never known what I found out. So yeah, it's just because you have a different pain level than someone else, that doesn't mean you don't necessarily have the same issue at the heart of it.
And with the pain level, like I said in the video that I have about endometriosis, which will be up here and I'll link it in the description below, just because someone has no pain doesn't mean that they're have a minor, you know, level of the disease. That's just not how it works. There are people who are in, you know, excruciating pain so much they can't even get out of bed in the morning, and they may have, you know, a small level of disease, whereas someone could have, you know, no pain and have it pretty severe. So pain level does not equal the level of the disease, which is just another thing that makes it so hard to diagnose.
The other thing that made the whole thing easier for me is that she had been through these surgeries before and had just had one. So I knew exactly what to expect. And not knowing what to expect is probably the scariest thing about having a surgery. And so when you know exactly what's going to happen, it takes a lot of the stress out of it.
So hopefully that's what you got out of watching this video, I guess. If you're going to have surgery, hopefully this is maybe eases your mind a little. I don't know. It's really, I mean, is it fun? No, of course not. No surgery is fun. But either having an experience like she did where she got answers that she'd never had before, or having one like I had that maybe potentially gave me hope that I'd never had before, I would say it's worth it. So hopefully you guys found this video informative and interesting. If you've had a laparoscopy before, let me know in the comments how yours differed or how it was similar to our experiences. If you haven't subscribed yet, it would make me smile like this if you did. If you want to keep in touch with me between videos, here are all of the links to my social media goodies. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay. Whoops. So if you, it's gone. Get it turn over. At the family we're going to see. The family because this was one of the, we went to the hospital. We didn't go to the hospital, me. We were at the hospital. We went to the pharmacy. We went to the hospital. No! Are you recording? Alright, it's recording. Now that I've kind of... Why? I'd like to talk about how it differed with Angela's surgery.
Or not.
Fuck is a strong word.
You may recognize my sister Angela, but she's not here, so you don't know who she is.
I guess I was supposed to answer that part, huh?
I guess so. She's invisible right now. Try again later.
Yeah, I don't think you could do Nike or Shia LaBeouf to do an endorsement of stool softeners, but in this case,
You never know. If he gets desperate enough. Maybe.
No?
Oh, I didn't realize there's one. Okay, keep going. There's more time.